think Mackenzie mentioned it. What's an inequality compared to an equation? What's the main difference between those two? Jot down one sentence on the line. What's the difference between an inequality? In your own words, I'll give you just a hint if you're a little stuck. Here's an inequality. What's the difference between that and x equals 5? Put that on the example. What is the main difference? Any ideas, Tennyson? Okay, so one has a sign. That's a good start. Turn and talk to your partner 20 seconds. What's another difference? Go. Okay, besides the shape, besides the literal what it looks like. 3, 2, 1. Okay, besides it looking differently, obviously, and looking like a triangle versus an equal sign, what's different about this? Any more ideas, Ashlyn? That's the key here. So inequality is a statement or a math statement, a math problem that has more than one solution or answer. A math statement with more than one answer. And you're going to see when we get to these problems, there's a lot of real world scenarios where you can have more than one answer. We'll get to that in a little bit. So phrases that could mean these symbols, start out by just telling me what they mean. This first one, write greater than. We kind of skipped it last week with the sub, and then I came back to it Friday because I realized I made a horrible blunder and did not really start with these basic signs. This one's greater than. If it has a chin, it's greater than or equal to. If it is the other way, you read it left to right, and that little tiny point tells you it's less than. The other one is less than or equal to. Equal to. Think about some other words that I could use to represent those, besides less than or greater than. Any ideas you can just jot down right now while we're finishing? Ashlyn?
More than.
More than could be the same as greater than. Sure, let's put that in there. Liliana?
Larger than.
Yeah, that could also be. Larger or bigger than. You could do the reverse and say smaller than would be less than. Sure. Jot down a few, but leave space because we'll add to it. If it's more than, it couldn't be equal to it because it's got to be more than like the number 5. So your easiest, most gentlest word problems in these are going to literally tell you what it is. A number x is less than 4. It literally says less than. You can set it up to put x and then the less than sign and then 4. That's the easiest problem. Probably not going to see a lot of that on the CASP because it's a little bit below our grade level. You could graph that by putting an open circle and putting it to the left. Similarly, you could have a number y, and it's greater than or equal to 11. It literally tells you what it is. It says y is greater than or equal to 11. Graph that one, put it on 11. Pac-Man has a chin, and it is bigger than 11. Second level is not going to just say like the actual symbol. It'll give you a little more complicated word. If you heard a number n is no more than 8, and it doesn't say greater than or less than or greater than or equal to, here's what I want you to think of. I want you to think of a donut. And if you imagine yourself or Mr. McTee having a donut or 20 donuts, like I usually try to have, and then my wife says that's not healthy. But I went to the donut shop Saturday, true story, and I was like, all right, Mr. McTee can have no more than 8 donuts. If I can have no more than 8, here's me as the variable n. I can have no more than 8. Could I have more than greater than? No, if I can have no more than 8, I can't have any more. So I could have 1, I could have 2, I could have 3, I could have 4, I could have 5, all the way up to 8. Could I have 8? Yeah, I can't have more than 8. So I could have 8. This symbol, less than or equal to, represents no more than Jersey. I did, yeah. Otherwise, there would have been the end of the world on Saturday. Yeah, I did promise them a donut. So this word right here, if it doesn't say the actual symbol, throw it into a scenario. You could use donuts. You can use any object, but say it. I can have no more than 8, and then pick a symbol that matches. Let's graph that one. Help me out. Jillian, what does that graph look like? Yep, closed circle. Does it go left or right? N is less than 8 would go left. N is less than 8. 7 is less than 8. 4 is less than 8. 0 is less than 8. Cool. Go up to the less than or equal to chart, and let's fill in that word, no more than. Less than or equal to right here is going to be filled in with no more than. No more than. You will probably not have this chart in front of you during a test, definitely not for the CASP. So don't use this as like a cheat sheet too much. Try to memorize or get in the habit of using the donut example, just so that you can actually have a strategy. But it's always good to have a list too. Next one is a number P is no less than 5. Mr. McT has no less than 5 donuts. I have no less than 5. How many donuts could I have? I could have 5, sure. How many more could I have, Mackenzie? I could have 7. I just can't have less than 5. So if I can't have less than 5, I've got to have greater than. No less than means greater than, and I also could have had 5 donuts. This is no less than. Yeah.
Why would you use the one with the line under?
Is 5 less than 5? Is 5 less than 5?
No, so the other one would be greater than? What?
So yeah, the other one is just greater than. The line is greater than or equal to. If I can have no less than 5 donuts, so I can't have less than 5. Like I go to the donut store and I just say, hey, dude, like just give me any number of donuts. It just can't be less than 5. Like you got to guarantee me it's no less than 5. He could give me 5. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I wish it was like 125, but 5 is okay. Yes, Avery. I know. The donut scenario works for like 10% of the problems. The rest it doesn't. So just roll with me. But I'm not going to have -1 because it has to be bigger than 5. Yes. That's true. I guess you could have an IOU donut, like just desperation, ran out of money, grab a donut and go. I'll pay you back later. Probably get arrested on the way out the door. It is bigger than or it's equal to. You could have 5 donuts. You could have 6. You could have 8. The donut guy could give you any amount. Just make it more than 5 or at least 5. Try this next one. X is no more than 4. What does your inequality look like? Create something in your head that you can think about that makes this stick. I can have no more than 4 tacos, carrots, whatever makes it stick. For me, it's a donut. I can't have more than 4. Is that a good deal? I have no more than 4. Give me the sign for this one. Emery, is it a less than or a greater than? Yeah, if it's no more than 4, it's got to be less than or it could be equal to. Graph that for me, Abby. Where's the dot? Does it open or close? Does it go left or right, Abby? There it is. Cool. All right. Go up to the chart. We did not add no less than. So head up to the greater than or equal to sign, and you're going to add no less than. No less than. Cool. A number q plus 5 is at most 7.9. These guys have 2 steps or 1 step instead of just the answer. So you're going to take q, you're going to add 5 to it, and then your symbol would go in between q plus 5 and 7.9. I can have at most 7 donuts. I can have at most 7. The most I can have is 7. What's the symbol going to be, Peyton? Okay, let's test it out. So I can have at the most 7. So I say, give me at most 7, but it can't be more. If it's at most 7 donuts, it would have to be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. The most that I can have is 7. 8's just too much. No, sorry, I need an next period. So it would not be a greater than. The most I could have would be 6 or 7 or 5. Could I have 7? Yeah, because that's not over 7.
Could you have 7.8?
No. Well, apparently, if you have a 0.9 of a donut. But I didn't say 7.9. Let's solve for it now, and let's subtract by 5. Q is... Do I flip the sign here? I did not multiply or divide by a negative. Sign stays the same. Q would be less than or equal to 2.9. Last one. A number g subtracted from 6 is more than 2. These guys are tricky. Box subtracted from. This language is really weird. If I told you that 2 is subtracted from 5, that is not this problem. I'm just going to make a random example up here. 2 subtracted from 5 is not this. What do I have to change? 2 subtracted from 5 is not that setup. What would I do, Mackenzie? You would have to flip them. The language subtracted from likes to be thrown in, but if you're subtracting g from 6, it is not g minus 6. You have to reverse it. 6 minus g. G is being subtracted from the 6. More than is the same as greater than. Did we already add that to the chart? More than was a pretty simple one. Okay. Cool. Let's go ahead and solve this guy. How do you want to start, Jillian? There's two different ways I could go about it. Sure. Let's try that first. Negative g is greater than negative 4. My final step, I have to get rid of this negative, and the easiest way is to think about it as a negative 1. If you divide by negative 1, that's going to get rid of that negative sign. When you divide by a negative, what happens to the sign, Alexis? The sign in front becomes positive. What about the inequality sign? It has to flip as well. So this is a positive g, and it flips to be less than. Cool. G is less than 4 is your answer. Try 1 and 2, and then head to bronze. That's just solving it. No graphing for these. No more than minus 42 is less than most. No more than Okay, help me set up this first one, Tennyson. How did you write the inequality? That's a good start. If it's at most 10, could I have 10 donuts? If I have at the most, I could have 10. You could also have it equal to, so what do I have to change in the sign? Yeah, it's also an equal to sign. That is your answer. Set up this next one for me, Milo. Just give me the first step that you took. X subtracted from 15 would look like what? Okay. No less than 9. What symbol matches no less than? I can't have less than 9 donuts. I can have no less than 9. So this guy is bigger than. I can have more than 9, but I can't have less than. Could I have 9? Sure, that's an equal sign. Tessa.
I have a question on the first one, the X. Wouldn't it be the sign taking first the X not the 10? So it says at its most is 10, but isn't that technically saying that it could be 11 or 12? It's like pointing towards the 10.
The most is a tricky word. For a lot of 7th and 8th graders, they see most and they go like, oh yeah, that's more than. Because like the most kind of reminds me of having more. But the tricky part is at most. If I were to throw that in an example like with donuts, I can have at most 10. At the most I can have is 10.
And I'm not saying, wait, it's not saying you have more than 10, it's greater than.
So x is less than. This x is any number less than 10. So x has to be at the most 10. The numbers over here would be less than 10. So you could put in the number 9, that would work. You could put in the number 8. Notice how all of these are less than 10. Okay, so the x is the numbers that would work. If x is at most 10, you couldn't have it be bigger than 10. That wouldn't work. 11 is not at most 10. Did that confuse you more?
Yeah.
Think about it like you're reading a book and reading left to right. For this one, don't think too much about the numbers that it could be. Just think about it as reading it as x to 10. At most is going to be the symbol that would be less than 10. At most, it could be 10. So the at most sign would have to have a less than. You could also use your chart for this one and just glance at what at most is under, and at most should be here. Yeah.
I don't think the answers are
Maybe I made a blunder. Which one?
Number 1 says x is greater than or equal to.
Is it y or x?
It's x.
Okay. Yeah, your answers might be wrong. Let me check. Go through bronze and for which ones?
It says a number t multiplied by -4. Would you just take the -4 over?
Times t.
Well, I just would you multiply negative?
Yeah.
-4.
Yeah, it'd be -4t. It's at least 20. I have at least 20 donuts, so t would have to be bigger than. At least 20. I have at least 20. At least 20.
So then it would be t, then t is greater than or equal to 20?
Yeah. And then divide by -4.
So then it would be t is less.
You'd flip it.
But this is divided by a negative. So I'm going to swap over.
Yeah.
T is less than or equal to 20.
Yep.
Yeah, since it's at the least. Oh, I want the bigger.
Y is no more than -8. I can't have more than 8. No more than would be a less than sign. Is that a different answer though? You said it was. Y is less than, no, number one's okay. Y is less than or equal to negative 8. That works. Y is less than or equal to negative 8. Yeah, that's fine.